Hello and welcome back to the Fat Cat Scraps Fight Podcast. We're just gonna be going over a quick UFC preview for this weekend. So we got Tuporia and Oliveira in the main event. I think Charles Oliveira is a guy. He's had some crazy victories over the years. He's been very significant to the sport. He's a guy that's very easy to root for. A guy that can submit you. He can beat you in a variety of different ways. I think he might be the guy that I'm rooting for in this case. I'm a Max Holloway fan myself, but just seeing what Topuria can do to guys, I think he's kind of unstoppable right now. I saw a thing the other day. I'm definitely more of a boxing guy, but it was like, could Topuria, transition to boxing? And I guess, if he's fighting more at like welter, it could be difficult. I mean, he's got some defensive liabilities maybe from a boxing standpoint. MMA is very, very different when it comes to kicks and things like that, and different things you can sort of get away with that you wouldn't necessarily translate to boxing. But I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of it is just hand speed, hand power. I think he definitely brings that to the table. So, I mean, my pick's Topuria here. I think he can knock him out. But it's International Fight Week. I think we're in for a good card overall. Just looking up and down the whole thing. We got Pantoja. He's a guy who's had a couple good victories here. Roy Vol and Kopp. I mean, this flyweight division is just kind of on fire right now. So those victories are definitely nothing to throw shade at or look past. Car France. He's a guy who had a 2-fight losing streak there, but then had the sort of regionally home show in Australia of sorts, and he was able to pick up a knockout victory, performance of the night. So we'll see if he can kind of, get himself back into those top few spots of the flyweight division. Excuse me. Just looking down the card, Brandon Royval, Joshua Van. I'm gonna roll with Joshua Van on this one, but once again, two very game guys in the flyweight division. When you look at all these guys, even on this card, a lot of them are starting to just all fight each other. You check each of their records and. It's all common opponents, but I just think that goes for, because UFC is kind of in like sort of a stagnant place at the moment in terms of finding stars and things like that. You got Paddy Pimblett, you got O'Malley, at least in America, who are like the bigger names, but they're still international as well. So to have like a division, like this, that's on fire. It's definitely very entertaining, and you just get the best scraps, and it's kind of like the four kings of, I believe, the flyweight division it was in boxing. Chocolatito and them just all fighting each other, being at the top of their games, and regardless of what the general public thought of them, or were they name recognizable among like actual fight fans, it's guys that are going to scrap each other. And I think this division is definitely in a good place. So you got Dariush Beneil, who has lost to Oliveira and Sarukian in the past. He's getting up there in age. I think he's 36 now. So I don't know if this is necessarily the last hurrah for him. But he's definitely been putting miles on the clock. So we'll see what he has left. And just a couple other little notes that I liked, just looking up and down this card. Not necessarily covering everything, just fights that intrigued me the most. We got Moicano returning, so that should be due for some fireworks. And then Terrence McKinney, a guy who's pretty interesting. I was looking into him. He's been with the UFC for about like 5 or 6 years out of Spokane. Fought on the Israel Adesanya fight night a few years ago. I'm a Jared Cannonier fan myself. So was definitely keeping up with that division the last few years. This is a guy who he had some sort of like a health issue. I forget exactly what the story was. I don't know if it was drug induced or what combination of things. If it was accidental, I'm not really too sure informed. But I just remember reading the headline that he essentially died twice. His heart stopped and he was revived back to life. So I just think that's a telltale of a fighter, and just sort of kind of mentality that you might have, and how that might change things, and how that's kind of spurred his career. As someone who's gone through something like that, I think it definitely changes your mentality going into fight weeks and things like that. This is just brief. I'm a little more casual with the UFC, but just going up and down the card, just giving you some of my thoughts about these guys. But this has been the Fat Cats. Let's go.